Hey, Ernie.
Hey,
Hello.
Hey, Mario.
okay, so 96, Savav. We did Sarikeh yesterday, correct?
Yes,
Yes. Yes. So Friday was 93. I'm sorry.
94.
Friday must have been 94. Right. Thursday night was 93. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Hi,
Well,
Mario.
sorry, we're on Tzadik Vav. Tzadik Vav. Because we did 93
Hi.
Friday, and then
Yesterday.
we did 90, excuse me, we did 94 Friday, and we did 95 yesterday on Shabbos.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're on Tzadik Vav. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, Bigmor, they had different Masorah. Rabbi Yehuda had a Masorah that the oven, when you put the bread in the oven, that's what was miskadeshet. And Rabbi Shimon had a different Masorah. Dekanami, I'll prove it to you. Diktani, Rabbi Shimon Oimer. They are, of course, kosher to eat in the Azora. Uksheres abes pagi. You can also eat them anywhere in Yerushalayim. Now, when you say la'olam heavy regel loymar, that has to do with Masor. Mami know that this machlokas between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda is based on Masor. Mishnah. Avite kohen gadol. Every day, the kohen gadol would bring an isaron of flour in the morning. He would divide it using a half isaron measurement, and he would offer there were 12 loaves, 6 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon. Each of the 6 are made with a half isaron. And lishoson, arichoson, vafiyoson bifnim. Kneading them, arranging them, baking them is in the azor. Everyone agrees that the half isaron measure miskadishes it. So since it's miskadish it, you got to do everything in the azor. Can't do it outside because it would be possible be at sea. And doiches is Shabbos. Because of that, you have to do it. See, there's a principle. Anything you can do Erev Shabbos, you should do Erev. But the problem is be able to do Erev Shabbos. If you did Erev Shabbos, it would nifsa belina. Because we've said the Chatzi Yisor is miskadish it. The only reason the Lechem Aponim could be done because they was not sanctified, so it was not possible belina until it was placed on the shulchan the next day. Chinos and varkadoson, grinding and sifting are enedot garbage. The flour has to be ground and sifted already from Friday, because that's something that could be done from the day before. Klal Amar Bekiva. Kom lacha shef shel asois erev Shabbos, enedot Shabbos. If you can do something Erev Shabbos and it doesn't lead to a problem, you should do it Erev Shabbos. Like in this case, where you even have to bake it. Shake, because you can't do it from the day before, it would be nifsal belina. Kol hamenachos yishben ma'isa kli bifnim. So kneading, shaping them has to be done in a kli, in the azara. Vein ben ma'isem kli b'chutz. Because you have to put a mincha in a kli sharis. And the oil that you definitely, The Isaron is a dry measure. We said that the Isaron measure did not sanctify, but you need to put oil, and all the liquid measuring kalim were hegdish, and therefore you can't take it out of the Azora. I need to napkin. 1 second.
Mm.
Now, Shtei Alechem. Arkan Shiva Tvachim. They were 7 Tvachim long. Berachban Arba Tvachim, 4 Tvachim wide. The Karnoisea Arba Etzbos. At each corner, they lifted up a horn, and there were 4 finger breadths, the horn. In each corner. Lechem Aponim Arkan Asar Tvachim. The left was 10 Tvachim. Rochban Chamisha Tvachim. They were 5 Tvachim wide. Karnoisav Sheva Etzbos. They also had horns. And they were 7 finger breadths up. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shalotite, the way to remember, Zadad Yahaz. This is a mnemonic. That the Shtei Alechem is 7 by 4 by 4, and the Lechem Aponim is 10 by 5 by 7. Ben Zoy Moimer. V'nosat al shulchan lechem ponim lefanai tamid. Lechem ponim, the bread has to have a face. Shilo ponim, and that's, we said we folded up the edges. That's the face of the lechem. That's the ponim.
Ernie, the shulchan was big enough for this?
We're going to see that right now. Shulchan arko asara v'roch b'chamisha. The shulchan was the length was 10, east west, right? The Kodesh Kodoshim is west. The entrance of the Heichal is west. Excuse me, is east. So the shulchan was east west 10 length and 5 width.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem. It seems
Now,
like
so the lechem aponim, arko asar v'roch b'chamisha. We said the length of the lechem aponim was 10 and 5. So noisin arko keneged roch b'shul shulchan. The 10 length was placed along the width of the shulchan, and then you folded up 2.5 on one end and 2.5 on the other. So you had 5 resting on the shulchan, and the width was 5, 2.5 up, 2.5 on either side. That's how the lechem haponim sat on the shulchan, and you put 2, so that took up 5, and then you put another 5 on the other side of it. So you had 2 storim, 6 up. So 2.5 times 6 is 15 tvachim high. The lechem haponim extended up to 15 tvachim up. Right? Koifel tvachim metzah mikan. Utfachayim metzaka 2.5 on either side. Nimtza arkom amalech rachba. The length of the lechem filled up the width of the table. Shul shulchan, and then the 2 ones filled up the full 10. Right, that filled up 5, and then you had another 5 to make the length of 10. Did Rabbi Yehuda?
the warming drawer must have been pretty good because it warmed kept all the lechem warm, and they were one on top of another.
We're going to see, that was a nace.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm just saying, it's like
There's even more. We're going to see there was room for air to flow. Now, there's a machlokas between Rav Yehuda and Rav Meir by the kelim of the Beis Hamikdash, whether an amma is 5 tfachim or whether an amma is 6 tfachim. Rav Yehuda holds that an amma is 5 tfachim. So it says in the Parshas Truma that the Shulchan was 2 amas. That's how we got that the length was 10 and the width was 5. Because it was 1 amma wide and 2 ammas long. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, the amma is 10 by 5. Meir holds that an amma is 6 tefachim. So therefore it's 12 by 6. And therefore when you still, let's read Rabbi Meir. Ashulchan orko shnei masav rach b'shisha. 12 long, 6 wide. Lechem aponim orko asav rach b'chamisha. Same thing, 10 long, 5 wide. Again, noisen orko keneged rach b'shul shulchan. They put it lengthwise across the 6, but they bended it up 2 rather than 2.5. Right? 2, 2. So it's 4. And then you had tfachayim revach benza between the two. Remember, you piled up 6 on one side, 6 on the other. Between the 2 storim, you had 2 tefachs in the middle. Air floater, that kept air flowing, and that way did not become stale. Abishol Omer Abishol said that in that space, the 2 tefachim space, according to Rav Meir, they would put the cup of spice. You have to put it on top of the breads. That next to Ephraim was Menashe. So alav can mean next to. So that fits Abishol. The table had on the sides of them sort of planks of gold that supported the breads. They had sort of projections from the top, and they had pegs on the inside where there were 28 rods that were arranged between all of these arrangements of lechem aponim. Again, to hold aponim in place. Shayu would sort of give the stability to the lechem. Shnaim l'sader zeh, shnaim l'sader zeh. Two of these side boards on either side for each seder. Ve'esrim mishmar konim, 28 rods. Kachatzi kana cholo, like a hollow reed. Arba asar l'seder zeh. V'arba asar l'seder zeh. And the Gemara will tell us how it was arranged. Lo seder konim v'lo netilosam doiches haShabbos. You couldn't arrange these rods or remove them on Shabbos. So what did you do? Remember, the lechem stood on the table from Shabbos to Shabbos. The Kohanim ate the lechem on Shabbos. Nichnas me'erev Shabbos. One of the Kohanim went in, v'shomta, removed all the rods, the nosal orkash, and put them on the bottom of the table. And then on Shabbos they would take the old loaves out, put the new loaves in, and Motzei Shabbos put the rods in place, holding the lechem, like we said. Or kan shel bayis. Like I said, the Beis HaMikdash was east-west, and the length of the table follows the bayis east-west. From all minchas, the kelim were done inside the Azor. Shalos Rabbi Zumi Nai. How do we know that the preparation, the kneading, and preparation of the menachos were done in the Azor? In Yechezkel, this is the place that the Kohanim would cook the Asham and the Chatas, and Asher Yofus HaMincha, they would bake the mincha and avoid taking them out to the outside chutzner. Mincha dumid Hashem mechatas. Hashem mechatas doing kli, just like in Hashem mechatas to cook them, you need a kli. Af mincha nami, when you prepare the mincha, it needs to una kli. Shulchan Aruch Asar. We said that the length of the shulchan was 10 tfachim. According to Rabbi Yehuda, that they bent the sides of the lechem 2.5 on either side. We said 6 times 2.5 is 15. So when you pile 6 on top of another, and each one is 2.5 tfachim high, you pile them up, you're going to have 15 tfachim. Now, according to Rav Meir, that you only flipped up 2 tfachim, only 12. Now the Gemara is going to challenge the 15 and the 12. What about these poles? We said there were 14 on either side, 28 in total. Now, if the breads are put on the poles, it's going to raise it to a higher height. And for the Gemara, kanim shkui meshakale. No, the breads were soft, and these poles sort of sunk into the bread, so they didn't add any height. Now, my time, what was the whole purpose of these poles? Mishum mefushe lechem. We don't want it to become stale. Having them on these rods allows airflow, but if you're telling me the rods are in the bread, that there's no airflow. And for the Gemara, the mikveh porta, there was a little bit of separation between the rod and the bread. Okay, so then you can't say that the height was 15 tvachim. Va'ikahu porta, there's this little bit. Kiven de lohavi tefa doesn't equal a tefach lo chashav lei. It doesn't count. I va'ika bezichin. What about the cup of spice that's put on top that raises it higher? And for the Gemara, begavi the lechem of yosfi. Remember, the bread is like a box, so it sat in the space of the lechem. It didn't rise up. V'hadi lechem avukaimi. Its height is included. I vayeka kronos. What about the horns? Doesn't that stick up? Kronos legavi lechem kaiflu. No. They bent it towards the bread, so it wasn't sticking up. And the breads were resting on those horns. There is a mizgeret, which is a frame. The Gemara understands that the frame was above the airspace of the table, and that the lechem is sitting on top of this frame. Make it higher. So no, it wasn't on top, it was below the table, sort of on the side. And even according to the one who says that this frame was above, it was sort of bent outward. So the lechem didn't rest on it. The lechem it was sat directly on the shulchan itself and not on the frame. Kidatanya. Rabbi Yossi Omer lo haya sham snifin. He says there weren't these sideboards. This frame at the bottom of the table gave some stability to the lechem. How could it do that? It was below the table. So he clearly holds that the bread was on top of the frame. But that's not the general opinion. Okay, according to the mandama that says it was on the bottom, so we understand halacha. Tavla misapechas tmeya. A kli to be mekabel tumma has to have a receptacle. It has to, because we learn it from the word sak. A sack, you put something in it. So, for example, a flat piece of wood would not be makabel tumah. However, a piece of wood that could be used on either side because it's flat, from this shulchan, we learn that it can be makabel tumah. Because according to this frame was above the table. Oh, it's only according to the one that says that the frame was below, that you have a proof.
But it was all made out of gold.
No, this is wood. We're going to see there was gold. There was stuff.
They covered it in gold. It wasn't.
But the shulchan was wood, and the frame was wood.
I don't think so. Check.
Check.
It was gold.
Is wood.
Huh?
The mizgeret is wood. It's a wooden slab. And we'll see there was some kind of covering placed on it. We'll see what it was. But this frame certainly was wood. And it's flat on either side. And we're going to see that even though it was flat, it's makabel tumah. So from there's a proof that even a flat piece of wood could be makabel tumah. The divra amim is garta lamala. I saw then tabla misapechas tibolov. We can't learn anything from this thing regarding a flat piece of wood. Now, based on Rav Yochanan's statement, it's clear that the shulchan was makabel tumah, right? Michlal the shulchan bar kibuli tumahu. But the Gemara challenges that. Kli eitza solenachasu. The shulchan is a wooden kli. It's made out of wood. And not only that, it's a wooden kli that is made to just sit there. For example, a ping pong paddle is made out of wood, but that's movable. So such a paddle would be makabel tumah. But this wooden dining room dish, what do you call it? An armoire. It weighs 500 pounds. It's not meant to move. It's meant to display your china and your crystal. That's a kli eitz asur lenachas. V'kol kli eitz asur lenachas ein makabel tumah. My time adumi de sakpin. It needs to be like a sack. Masak metatam ovrekan. A sack can be moved either empty or full. I've called metatam ovrekan. Any wooden kli, in order for it to be makabel tumah, has to be able to be carried empty and full. Now, l'chora, the Gemara thinks the shulchan was left stationary. And therefore, how could you learn any din of tumah from the shulchan? It was never moved. And for the Gemara, shulchan nami metatal mod v'reka. The shulchan was an example of a kli that was carried both empty and full. Kiddush Lakish.
Ernie, sorry. The pasuk says, "V'asita shulchan atzei shitim v'tzipita oto zahav tahov v'asita zer zahav lemiskarato savid."
Atzei shitim. So the shulchan itself was made of wood.
Yeah,
there was covering of gold.
It had a covering of gold. So, but gold is not makabel tumah.
Of gold absolutely is makabel tumah.
Yeah.
Metal is makabel tumah if it's a kli. So and that's not an issue. And you see the Gemara refers to the shulchan as a kli eitz. So just because there's a covering of it doesn't the primary binyan of it was through eitz. Saintly Aron was also made out of eitz. It had gold on the outside, it had gold on the inside. The menorah was pure gold, right? The menorah was a golden kli, but both the Aron and the shulchan are considered wooden keli.
If a shulchan stays in one place, it's not makabel tumah. Okay.
Say that again.
If heavy shulchan stays in one place, it's not makabel tumah.
Correct. Any kli eitz asur lenachas.
Right.
The kli that is, if it's got to be able to be carried. Now, a table you could move.
Yeah, now, but did they move the table? Did they move the table?
We're going to see right now that they did move the table. Right now, the Gemara's kasha is How can you learn anything about Tumah from the Shulchan? It's a Kli Asui L'Nachas. It's not movable. So the Gemara says, Shulchan Nani Metaltal Mol V'Reika. No. The Shulchan was carried empty as well as full with the Lechem Aponi. Kid der Reish Lakish. Der Reish Lakish might chsiv ala Shulchan HaTahor. Now, if you're going to say something ala Shulchan HaTahor, means it has the capability of becoming Tomei. Tahor Michlal Deka Tomei. And how can you do it? It's a Kli Hasui L'Nachas. Elam Alamed Shemagbino Solod Regolim. On Yontif, when all the Klai Yisrael would come, they would pick up the shulchan with the bread on it. Umarian boy lechem. They would show the people the lechem. Look how Kadosh Baruch Hu loves you. That He keeps your bread fresh. Kidivar Yoshe ben Levi. Yoshe ben Levi. Neis Godel Nasav Lechem Aponim. Siluko Kisiduro. When they took off the lechem a week after it was put, it was as hot and fresh as the day it was placed on it. Shenemar, lasum lechem chom biyom hilakho. It's hot as the day was taken off. So you see, the shulchan was carried, and therefore, the frame being underneath the table can be even, and it's a flat on both sides, can be makabel tumah. Now the Gemara is going to ask, like Walter, Tepukle mishum tzipui. Why don't we just say simply that the shulchan is makabel tumah because of its plating and its metal, and metal certainly is makabel tumah, right? Only a flat piece of wood is not makabel tumah. A pashut kliate is not makabel tumah. But if maybe we should be looking at the plating of the shulchan, because it had gold plating, like Walter read us the psukim. Milo tnan hashulchan vadul biki. If you have a table or a chair, shenifchaso shechipen b'shaysh, you covered it with marble. V'shir ben makom anachas koisos. But I guess they used to put cups, maybe in the hand, where you rest your hands, and if they left a place to put cups there. So Tmein, that table still has a usable orifice to put the kosos, it's still makabel too. Rabbi Yehuda makom anachas chatichos. There has to be places on the table to put meat and bread, not just cups. Now, shiore in, lo shiore in, lo. If there's been plating, that there's no wooden surface remaining, then it's not a wooden kli, and it becomes, at least in the case of the covering it with marble, becomes like even, like stone. And kalim of stone are not makabel tumah. So therefore, from here, we do take into account the plating that's used. So in the base of English, shulchan they used gold, so it's a metal kli. So you can't prove from the shulchan with its wooden frame anything, because perhaps the reason that the shulchan can convey tumah is because of its plating, which is metal. The chitem kan b'tzipushena oy made. In Masechta Kelim, when we brought the case of a chair or whatever, there they fixated the plating to the kli. Now, in the shulchan, the gold was not necessarily fixated. If it's firmly, if the plating is fixed with nails, then in a chanami you can change the characteristic of the kli from wood to metal. But in the base of English, they didn't do it with nails. They did a covering, period, and it apparently was easily removed. So therefore, the Gemara is challenging this thing that it is a wooden kli. But if you have a covering that is either fixed or not fixed, b'shechipa es lebezichin or b'shlochipa es lebezichin, did the covering cover the rim of the table or not? V'amar lein, Rav Yochanan responded, Lo shna tzipui oimed, lo shna tzipui she'eno oimed. It makes no difference. Lo shna chipas levizich, lo shna. Either way, the table becomes the plating. And therefore, the shulchan was a metal. Comes out that a wooden kli covered with a metal is considered a kli of metal. And that's why it's makabel tuma. So how could Rav Yochanan understand a proof from the Shulchan about the wooden frame? He has no proof. That's where the Gemara is. That's where the Gemara is holding right now.
Okay, I just want to show you. I have a picture because it's on the front page of the tab. Basically, I don't know if you can't see it. Yeah, 1 second. 1 second. I want to just show it. Can you hold on a second because it shows it really nicely. Sorry, just take me a second. And that doesn't want to go off. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's not coming out. Okay, but I have a whole thing on the shows a great picture of.
Text it to us. Text it later.
Okay, text it or bring it. Show it tonight at the Navi Shir.
You know what? I'll text it. Okay. If you give me 1 second, I'll put it on. If you give me just 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's go and take this off. What?
Also, take a picture and send it
Okay, I'll take a picture. I'll send it. Okay, bye.
Okay, see everybody at 8 o'clock.